Here's one of the latest interviews from Rock and Metal Revival. If you want to hear the whole show, go to rmrshow.com. From probably one of my top 3 albums of the year right there, the Dead Daisies, and Make Some Noise, the title track from their new CD. And Jerry, they kicked ass and took names on Saturday night at the BMO Harris Center. And if you're not abusing your stereo speakers with the new Dead Daisy, what the hell's wrong with you? We have on the line with us, and we want to welcome him back to the show. Drummer for the Dead Daisies, Brian-Tichy. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Hey, guys. How you doing? And thanks for having me.
It's great to have you back. Last time we had you on the show, we were talking to you about the Randy Rhoads Remembered project that you were doing, and we were all bummed out when that tour didn't come through, but we got to see you Saturday night, and what a hell of a rock and roll show you guys put on.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I mean, we're having a great time, as anybody would, opening up for Kiss, and the guys and the crew are awesome, and this is like our 3rd or 4th run with them, doing an interview. And then Doug Aldrich just asked me if I wanted to play Frisbee outside, because we got a couple Frisbees at Walmart the other day.
Well, you know, hey.
Yeah, so, but it's all cool. I mean, we get to play really kick-ass arena venues, and the crowd's been cool. You know, we're an opening band, so a lot of people are, the majority are there for Kiss. You know, so we got your job's cut out to get your point across and kick ass, and it's been a really good reaction.
Well, the thing that really impressed me is that as far as being, I hate the word opener, but as the other act on the bill, you guys got the whole stage. I mean, it isn't like they cramped you into a 10-foot spot like they do a lot of opening acts.
No, that's another thing about how cool it is out with Kiss and their crew and everything. Yeah, they're very accommodating, and we're buds. You know, a lot of us and the Daisies and those guys go back in many different ways, shapes, and forms. You know, from the crew to myself knowing Eric Singer, man, for over 20 years. You know, so it's. That's not going to change what they offer us or whatever, but they're just cool. They're like, hey, you guys, just go up there, kick ass, and we're Kiss. We got nothing to worry about. We're Kiss.
Yeah, really.
Well, last time we don't have it's not like we're walking and going, hey guys, we have bass drums that spit blood. The rhythm guitar player breathes fire. We got some flames shooting out of some microphone stands. It's not like we're. They might have a little bit of an issue with that, I think.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some of your posts. You guys have been doing a lot of live posting on Facebook, and I saw you and Marco hanging out with Gene's axe bass. How cool was that?
But yeah, I mean, sometimes we're here earlier, like we are today in the afternoon, and. You're going around the arena, and you check out where your backstage is and catering, and you walk around the stage, and like I said, we're friends with the crew, and I think Marco was just asking Red, Gene's tech, about one of the basses, and I just took a look as well, and it's like, yeah, who doesn't want a picture holding the axe bass?
Exactly.
Well, Brian, let's go back to this album. I mean, this to me is what rock and roll should sound like. This album is just killer, and you guys are out taking it on the road. And how's the response been from the fans? And I mean, here in the States and in Europe.
Well, I have more of an interest in the overall reaction this time, because as a band, we wrote and recorded the record together and stayed the same band for the tours, which to me makes a big difference to the fans and to us as a band. It's like myself, David Lowy, John Corabi, Marco Mendoza, and Doug Aldrich all got together in Nashville with Marty Fredrickson, the producer, and started throwing ideas around and went nonstop for a month solid. And it's really nice when you're all working together, and the final record comes out and you're supporting it as the same band. It kind of sounds weird to say that, but this band has been a different kind of band where there's been a lot of members in and out, and for various reasons and stuff, but now it's solid, and for me, it's really cool because I set up the drums, tune the drums, but they put the mics up. We all listen to the sounds. We agreed on what sounds cool, and this and that, and what parts are cool, and so it's nice to hear it all on a solid record. And just for me personally, because the last one, I put I was only on a couple songs because I wasn't available to do the record on the schedule they were on with what I had going on at the time, a couple of years ago, whenever it was. So yeah, it's cool, man. The reaction's been great. So my point of telling you all that is because I guess I've taken more notice or more time to notice reactions. But so we're hearing all the reviews are great, and it's cool. I mean, I guess it just comes across like a refreshing, organic live hard rock record. It sounds like the guys in the band are playing. They sound how they sound, and that's what it is. And that's all you can hope for is that people hear that, because it's easy to fake everything out in the studio. These days especially, it's really easy to. I mean, so I guess it's easier, meaning in time-wise, it's quicker to just like copy paste.
Yeah, exactly.
Put samples on stuff. You can do it in a matter of seconds. Whereas back in the day, you may have ghost players on some of our favorite famous records and all that stuff, or you might have a more tedious process to get drums a certain way, within the editing and within the sound department. But now it's like nothing. You can just go in and make it whatever you want almost, which to me lessens the value of all the time you put into your craft and on your instrument. I love sounds, like Eddie Van Halen says, he's a tone chaser, and there's the perfect example of like the mightiest tone chaser I know. And every day I have a good snare drum sound around me, I'm a happy guy. So all that stuff makes a difference to me.
For sure. I was just listening to it because I play guitar, so I was just sitting there figuring out some tunes. And yeah, when you listen to it, you can tell it sounds like the guitar, all the music tracks are live right there. We and
it's no hidden secret about like, there's a lot, you could do a lot of editing in the drum department, getting drums down, and that's fine if that's how you're doing it. For the most part on this record, we all set up and played live in the studio, and I'd go top to bottom most of the time and get a solid take, but we'd always do a few takes, and there might be another take where you go, okay, add some more stuff in this take, so we have stuff to choose from, or man, that was good up to that part, but I just totally loused that thing up, so let's just take it from there, rather than, let's punch a verse in, punch a chorus, punch a verse, punch a drum fill. It wasn't like that at all. But that was also cool because when you're making music together and writing songs together, you hear what's going to work and not work sort of as it goes. You're not like trying to figure out. It's not like when you're hired for a session from somebody and they say, here's the tune, and I kind of want this, but I might want that. And you go, well, I can give you this, I can give you that. And you're kind of piecing together on the spot. But this was more, you had the big picture in your head, which is, makes it quicker to do full takes.
Awesome.
Well, Brian, the first time that I got to see the Dead Daisies, you guys were actually opening for Kiss again at Alpine Valley when the EP was released. And it just seems to me that this version of the Daisies is a cohesive group. The chemistry is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can tell you're having fun.
Yeah,
it's not a chore.
Yeah. So
I've always had fun with the guys, and even when it was Dizzy Reed on keys and Richard Fortas on guitar, who have, as we all know, for the most part, I'd assume
got a big gig.
We know they're in GNR, and they were always in GNR. It was just a balance between the two bands. So when they knew there was talk of this year's reunion tour thing happening, they they'd be kind of foolish not to take advantage of that. Something both of them have put. I mean, Dizzy goes back to Use Your Illusion, and Richard's been in 12 years or something like that or more. So of course, it's one of the biggest bands in the world, one of the best bands in the world, and it's great to see them doing that. I love it. I'm really happy for them, and I'm happy for rock and roll that GNR's out there killing it. And but at the same time, basically Doug Aldrich came in, and I've known Doug a long time. He's killer. So I think it's the perception is it makes it a little tighter. Now we have 5 guys on stage instead of 6, so it's just like there's a little bit that just tightens it up already just by having there's only 5 guys that did the record or on the tour. So it's a little just that solidarity from the outside view. And it's a little bit like, oh, cool, the guys that we're reading about in the press that were doing a new record, they added in Doug, they're the same guys on the tour. Whereas, before, it was like, oh, we had John Stevens singing. Oh, now it's Corabi, but Corabi's with there was, I couldn't do a tour. They had Tommy Clufetos filling me. That they had then it was Dizzy and Richard are out and Doug's in. It was like, it's like when some time goes by and you see the same group of guys, it rubs off on us and the fans and the public. That it's like seems more cohesive and solid and all that, which is a good thing. But I think a lot of it is just simply we all did it together. We all knew in January we were going to get together in February and record and here we are, the end of the summer, supporting what we work towards together. So I think that hopefully comes across live and as the overall perception of what the band is.
Well, one of the coolest things from the other night when you and I actually talked was that you guys go out into the venue and actually sit at a table and meet the fans after the show. I mean, that is incredible. I mean, is that something you guys wanted to do from the get-go, or because it's just a cool thing, I think.
It is cool for sure. We're on a tight time schedule when we do it. That's got nothing to do with me. It's really got nothing to do with anybody in the band compared to how it was going on before. That's just how the Dead Daisies have always done it. When I first filled in for a week in 2013, I didn't know if I was going to be required to do that because I was like, I'm a filling guy, so whatever. I'm not on any recordings. I'm not, in a picture. So blah blah blah. But they're no, go out there and sign with the band. You played, and I was like, okay, cool. So they've always done that. My only thing with that is that I totally understand, especially with Kiss. We have to get out there as soon as we can to sign because as soon as Kiss starts, we have to stop. That's just the way it goes, and which makes sense. It's not like they're gonna come in the dressing room and yell at us or something like that. But it's just like it's respectful and it makes sense. And people are there to see Kiss. So who wants to stand around in line for us when Kiss is hitting the stage? Man, I don't want to miss the intro. You know what I mean? I want to see it. So that's how it works. But for us, we literally come off stage and get handed a towel and said, okay, walk this way and go over there. So, you're a little bit discombobulated, a little bit burnt out. You pretty much ask anybody you come off stage after playing, you kind of want, that little bit of time to just take a breath and talk as a band about, hey, this was a cool thing, or let's get this better, or, whatever, the little stuff the bands do after a show. Just like chill out for a minute. But we don't. So sometimes when it's usually fun. Everybody's cool. It's like all the, it's cool. Fans are there and they have a lot of nice things to say. But it's also, I'm a little bit burnt out. So sometimes it's like, you might be feeling it one night more than the other. So you're not really, your mind might not be 100% there as it would be if it was a half hour later. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. So how was
It's good to know that you dig it and stuff. I mean, it's cool. I know it's worth it. If people are there wanting to say hi and get something signed or whatever, that's the little time to do it.
Yeah. So how was the world's largest truck stop? Was it everything you thought it would be?
Yeah, that's all. I had one stipulation this year. I said, if we're going on tour in the U.S. with Kiss, I just know on my birthday you guys got to figure out a way to get me to the world's largest truck stop, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean,
was it huge?
And if you believe that, I got some steak going over the bridge to tell you.
Did you at least eat there? I mean, because the food had to be fantastic.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I did not eat there. We walked in and it was like it was like 4 a.m. or something like that. It was one of those nights where you're like, how late do I stay up or what do I do? And I was like, yeah, I'll just wait until I wake up in the morning to eat, or wake up whenever I wake up to eat. So no, I didn't. I just walked around. We were all pretty burnt walking around there. It was like the middle of the night.
Nice. So are there any tracks on the album you thought should have had some cowbell and they said no?
No, man. Marty Fredrickson, our producer, he's originally a drummer. I mean, he's mega talented and all that stuff, but I think he's first and foremost a drummer. So when we get together and we open up the box of percussion, we could find places for everything and anything. It's like what doesn't work. I like that. I like on some records I like that there's none, and I like on other records that it's there. I think if I remember correctly, maybe most of the first Alice in Chains record has tambourine on snare drums, and I love it because you would just not associate that with Alice in Chains, but it does something to the groove, and So yeah, we just go song by song. There's definitely a few cowbells. I think now I'm thinking about it. We might have been going through a bunch of shakers and tambourines,
yeah,
all this stuff, and then we were like, hey man, we haven't put a cowbell in. And at the end of one of the songs, I think it's a song called it's All the Same. Wait, what is it? So All the Same. I think at the end it goes into a riff jam kind of thing, and we're like, we got to put some cowbell in there. We got to get that going. So. I love cowbell. I wish it was a little bit more my thing, because I love the old, like the Peter Criss and
the drum solo.
Peter Criss, the Corky Lang, the Steven Adler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Alex Van Halen, man. You give me a good cow. I love it.
Yeah.
And I wish I had a cowbell intro on this record. Now that I think about it, it's like I wish there was like one of those cool Dance the Night Away.
We got a cowbell intro.
Yeah, our show would suck if we didn't have cowbell.
Yeah, we have to put it on everything.
That sounds great. I mean, like Mississippi Queen, it's one of the most mightiest things ever. That cowbell just sets you up like for the massive riff. It's awesome.
Yeah, the American band from from
Grand. Have it.
Yeah, you got to have it.
If you don't have it, you can't play it.
And Karabi says that he's going to write a song called Cowbell Blues that's nothing but cowbell.
You know, it wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the venue right now working on it.
Yeah, because he says that would be a #1 hit here in Wisconsin, and he thinks that would be huge. But
well, you know, people love cowbells, man, and you know, especially in your part of the world.
That's right. Yeah, we all have them here.
Yeah.
So
I mean, come on, would Calling Dr. Love be the same without that cowbell coming in on Rock and Roll Over? It's awesome.
Oh no, it's gotta have it.
We actually, you know, we always ask that question, but seriously, we do love the cowbell.
Oh yeah,
and let's think about this. I've never thought about this till now. You got. Okay, you put on Rock and Roll Over. You got I Want You and Take Me. Okay, they're both awesome. Then you go to Calling Dr. Love. You got the cowbell in there. Great song, great drum track. I love it. Peter. Then they go to Ladies' Room, and every time they get into that chorus, he kicks you with the cowbell.
Yeah.
The band literally stops for Pete to go tonk 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 dugga 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 dugga.
Yeah.
So my point is, there's back-to-back cowbell on Rock and Roll Over. I'm wondering, like, where else is back-to-back cowbell? Like, does Alex Van Halen have any back-to-back cowbell? You know what I mean?
I don't know. We'll have to put out a test.
You know what? Yeah.
Make a poll.
You might have to. Maybe Eric. I didn't really hear Eric hitting it the other night that hard either.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got to tell him to hit it harder.
Turn the mic up, Eric. Well, hey, Brian, we know you're busy and you're on tour, and we appreciate all the time that you've given us today. And we're going to play another track off Make Some Noise. And I'm not bullshitting, and I'm not saying it because you're sitting here. This is one of my top couple albums of the year, if not my favorite album of the year. I can't take it out of my player. And
I'm thank you, thanks a lot. And let me ask you this: what you get in your little bubble. You're in your band, and you read nice stuff, and people are, you have the fan base going on, and it can be a little deceiving. You start to go, you could take a step out, and you go, well, wait, there's a ton of bands out there working it. There's a ton of bands. There's a lot of great bands out there, and everybody's got their fans, and everybody's get some nice reviews about their live shows and their records and stuff. So it's like So when we're reading this, I'm like, that's really cool. It's like, am I just reading this because the people were fans to begin with, or is there actually something there that we did, that we hit on that is resonating, So I'm asking you, what makes it, what makes you say that? Kind of stuff?
Okay, I'll be real honest with you. I'm a fan of true blues-driven, guitar-driven rock and roll. A young Aerosmith. I love Aerosmith. And this reminds me of this generation's version of a young, hungry Aerosmith. The screaming guitars, the great rhythm section, and John's vocals. There's nothing phony, no bullshit. It's straight ahead rock and roll, and there's nothing fake about it. Do you know what I mean? It is a true rock and roll record.
Cool.
It's not metal. It's not. It's not. You don't categorize it. It is rock and roll. It is what it is.
Cool. Thanks.
I'm a fan of the songwriting. I think the lyrics, most of the time they're telling stories, which is what I love. I want to hear something besides "ooh baby la la la" bullshit. I want to hear something that means something, and you guys do that, which is what it's supposed to be about.
Well, I'll give most of that credit goes to John Corabi, because he would sit around with our demos of the songs, or we'd be cutting tracks, and he'd be singing along with us, singing ideas and stuff. But then he'd take like the demo of like a take that is in a good place, a decent version of what we did, and he'd just sit there in the other room with it and be jotting down ideas, and for hours and hours going and going. And I'd walk in time and time again and be like, "Hey, Jesse, check this out. What do you think of this?" He'd sit down, look at his laptop, and he'd read me the lyrics or sing along or whatever. And I was like, it was always good. It was always, and I was like, the more I was around that, the more I was like, John has his vibe, and he knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants, and it really fits the music. I think he did a great job. But that with that, it's also because we're all kind of cut from the same cloth. We all are all too familiar with our old Zeppelin, Aerosmith, and John loves Grand Funk, and the old Van Halen, and the AC/DC. It's like we all come from that stuff. So I wasn't ever really worried, but at the same time, I never had to think about, John Corabi's a lyricist. I was never in a band with him. So, but it was pleasing and to watch him, get it all together as we were recording all the songs and stuff. So yeah, he did a great job. And I kind of went through a bunch of songs recently, and I was like, man, he really just sounds like he's just got a killer. He's got that kind of classic rock voice, and there's just not that many guys out there like that, but that's where he comes from. So, when people talk about, oh man, we need a singer that's kind of like this and that, like those classic guys, and you go, wait a second, Dick Corabi's here right now. That's what he eats, lives, and breathes. You know what I mean? That's like, you don't find many of those guys around now. There's just not that many, and the further down the road of rock and roll we get, the further we get away from the original blues, which is the stuff that Daltrey and Plant and all the guys back then, Paul Rogers, they all came from that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then they've made it into what we all grew up on. And then then there's kids that grew up on Nirvana and Metallica that maybe didn't dig as deep in the past. But man, if that's the most powerful shit that everything lays upon after that. So if there's a lesson to be learned, it's like, man, if you go listen to some old Zeppelin and go listen to Live at Leeds and go listen to some Free, and all that, man, because that's go listen to that stuff. It's really, man, it hasn't been done as good since. Even though there's some killer bands out there, it's just, man, they're the masters.
Exactly. Well, we're going to play another track off the Make Some Noise album, which, like I said, from top to bottom, I love. And you picked out Last Time I Saw the Sun.
Good story.
Yeah. Why did you pick that one, Brian?
The only reason I picked that, I don't particularly like the song. It's just because I came up with the title, so I want to brag about that.
Nice. Went over good live.
No, I do. I really do like the song. It's so Aerosmithonian, if you you know what I mean. But no, it was a joke. It was kind of I was outside with Dizzy last year on tour in the middle of the night. And I was like, we just stand there as you're in Europe and it's dark all the time, and I'm like, man, I don't know the last time I saw the sun. And then I was like, dude, that's a title. Last Time I Saw the Sun. We went in, grabbed acoustic guitars, and we had one of these like kind of power ballads, like Last Time I Saw the Sun, whatever. And it sat there, but totally whatever. Forgot about it months later, and then somehow Corabi remembered it or something. And when we were making the record, I started a joke. Every time they'd have a song idea, I was like, oh man, that should be called Last Time I Saw the Sun for every song. So every time they come up with something, I would try and sing that phrase over it. And either I bothered John so much that he just said, okay, screw it, let's call this from Last Time I Saw the Sun, or it actually worked. I can't remember which. But yeah, and then he just took he took the title. And that was one place where he just took the title and wrote lyrics based on what his idea of what the title meant, which was pretty simple, just life on the road, just that's it. But I really liked what he did with it, and I thought the song came out really cool in that old school, like Aerosmith Rocks, Toys in the Attic era kind of way.
For sure.
Very cool. Well, Brian, we're going to let you get into play Frisbee with Doug Aldridge in the park, but we appreciate your time, and anything the Dead Daisies needs played on this show, they are more than welcome here at Rock and Metal Revival.
Cool. Well, thanks for the interest. Thanks for digging the new record and for playing some tunes off it, and hopefully we'll be back in your neck of the woods for another show.
To catch the whole show of Rock and Metal Revival, all you have to do is check it out on these affiliates. Mega Rock Radios on Saturdays from 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and on Uncontrolled Noise Tuesdays at 1 a.m., Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern on uncontrollednoise.com. And make sure that you leave them a message and tell them that you found Rock and Metal Revival on their stations.